All right, it's Monday, May 12th, 2025, and I'm Jason Shapiro with crowdedmarketreport.com. So I didn't really see any big surprises today necessarily. Obviously we had the news over the weekend about the China tariffs, and we gapped up, on what seemed to be much better news. And then we really moved up even more at 3 o'clock in the morning when they came out and said exactly what the news was. All bullish, and the market went up. No real big surprise there. Tried to sell off a few times, but didn't really succeed very well. I thought it was interesting. We see this a lot, right? Here was the second big move up, and everybody who bought that at one point was out of the money 7 hours later. So 7 hours worth of buying, everyone was out of the money. Scares them out, and then we move up. See it a lot. NASDAQ led all day. I still am of the opinion that we are in bull market territory, that macro people and hedge funds are still way underweight and are now underperforming, and it's just hurting them, and they're just going to continue to get squeezed. And until we see something different than that, I will continue to believe that. And everything else kind of acted, in kind. The bonds went down. I guess one thing we could say here that maybe is worth paying attention to is the bonds are once again approaching the levels of where the bond put came in. Now, when that happened down here, stocks and the dollar and bonds were getting crushed, and the put came in. Here, it's just bonds going down. So they're going down because economic growth expectations are going up as the tariff stuff gets erased. So I don't think it's that big of a thing, but it's just kind of interesting that we're getting back to those levels. Look at the short end. The short end is at those levels. I don't think you necessarily need a put when stocks and the dollar are going up. So I don't know if that's a big problem, but something to look at. If we're going to look at something else that wasn't that positive, I guess we could say that energy was not up that much today, but is that bad necessarily? You know what I mean? That energy prices can stay down as assets go up and less inflation. I don't really think that's bad either. You can make the argument, oh, well, it's supposed to be economic growth, so why isn't energy going up? But, energy isn't really positioned that way anyway, so I don't really see the big deal there. I mean, it gapped up and then it came down, yes, but I don't really think there's a big deal there either, I think what's more interesting is that the stock market just keeps going up. The Russell was up more than the Dow and the S&P today. And we really haven't seen Russell do anything like that in quite a long time. And since the low here, it's done very well. That's really it, I guess we could say, look, the risk off stuff too. Gold, got crushed. Silver actually did very well. But again, people make the argument silver is more of a growth commodity than a flight to quality commodity, so that's why it did well. Okay. Again, makes sense. I don't think there was anything that didn't really make sense today. And the currencies that have been piled into as the risk off trade, like the Swiss, are coming off. The yen, has come off. Again, makes sense. The euro, came off, right? Makes sense. I thought it all made sense today. And I think it's probably going to continue. It's going to continue tomorrow and every single day. The market's not going to go up every single day, but I do think there's until we see these macro bears, so to speak, either give up or get forced out, I think there is a risk to squeeze to new highs, as we've been talking about for a few weeks here, and maybe beyond. Let's see what they do, how they react. It didn't seem like they were buying today, because we saw a number of times in the market, sold off. And if you so-called hated, or if you didn't like, I would say, the S&P at 5,000. Then you got to hate it at 5,900, right? So if we're going to gap up, well, then sell into it. I mean, look, even right off the initial gap, we were below that for a number of hours until that new news came out, and then they were selling into that too. So it doesn't seem like they're squeezing. Sell more. Like I say, if you didn't like it at 5,000, sell more at 5,900. It's an even better place to sell it. The market's giving you a gift place to sell. I don't buy it. People are too short, and they're going to get squeezed, and they're going to continue to get squeezed, I think. And we will watch for when that's no longer the case, but today it's still the case. I guess if there was something that disappointed a little bit, it was Bitcoin today. I don't know that that's necessarily the biggest deal in the world either. Bitcoin has been way outperforming on the upside. And all of a sudden it started to be seen as more of a flight to quality thing, as the dollar was getting crushed. So now the dollar had a big day up today, and so Bitcoin came off. It did have sort of this reversal day thing. I guess if I were trading this thing and I traded Bitcoin here, where we've talked about this breakout, which was on bad news day, maybe I would take some off here just because it didn't react well today to this stuff. But I really don't see that as a big deal either. I think things are doing what they're supposed to do, and I don't think this is over yet. Just my view. Okay? So anyway, that's what I saw today. Hope that helps. Please like the video if you like it. Check us out, crowdedmarketreport.com, and we will talk again tomorrow. Hi, I just wanted to say, if you like these daily videos, we do them 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, for people, and it costs, $10 a month. And I try to include a lot of other lessons as I go through, as you see in the daily videos as well. For that $10 a month, you also get our COT charts on equity indices and crypto. So if you think that's worth it, give it a shot. All right. And we hope to see you there. Thanks.